Hello you guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to give you all some tips on some ways that we can live below our means, and we know that's important because we have our income, we have our expenses, and this gap that is in between those two, the bigger it is, the more we have wiggle room, the more freedom we have, the more ability we have to hit goals. And so that's what we're going over today. So if that sounds good to you, give this video a thumbs up and let's get on with it. So the first one, these are in really no particular order, but this is the first one, is shopping our insurance. Car insurance, renters, homeowners, all of these things. Even health insurance, depending. And so we can go online, we can see who has the best rate with the best coverage. And that is such a huge part of a lot of our budgets that even if we were just to save a little bit of that, that we're already paying right now, over the course of the year, that adds up to a lot, and if you can invest that, you can reallocate it, you can save it, you can, it is better in your pocket than theirs is the thing. And I know a lot of times we get lazy about our insurance because we feel like, oh, we've had, whatever it is, State Farm or whatever, since we were 25 or whatever the case. But that doesn't mean that they're a good fit for you anymore. And I think sometimes we get lazy. It is what it is. It's fine, whatever. And then sometimes we will check into it and we're flabbergasted. That happened to me actually a few years ago. I was flabbergasted how much money I could save by getting away from the insurance company that I had. It also made my house payment go down, just so you know, because I have my taxes and insurance rolled into my house payment. So that was a big deal. Number two, along those same lines, is to shop your phone and your internet service. Now, we wind up, a lot of times staying with the company we've been with forever because it's kind of a pain in the butt, to move it or whatever. But it doesn't hurt to just check, even if it's $10 a month or whatever. That's still $10 a month. That's $120 a year. That's quite a bit of money, right? And so it's just another way to make that gap a little bit bigger. So this one isn't going to apply if you are unemployed or retired or whatever. If you are employed, check and see what your employer has for discounts. We have discounts, at a couple of different farm stores. We have it at Nike. We have it at all kinds of different places. And so check and see what you have, because if, say, you want to get a handful of sweatshirts or hoodies or whatever for Christmas for people and whatnot. If you have, a Nike discount, or you have something like that, the Adidas store or whatever, that would be helpful for Christmas. So definitely check that out, because a lot of times we're not using all of the benefits that our employers have to offer. This one's going to get me in trouble. Just bear with me here. And it is to change the grocery store you're shopping at. And here's a hot tip. Walmart is not the cheapest grocery store. Just so you know, just saying. So there's, in our town, in our area, we have Winco, we have Grocery Outlet. Those are the two cheapest. Now, I generally shop at Winco, but I also shop at Safeway or Albertsons occasionally, and also at a Grocery Outlet. And the reason for that is because they all have something different to offer. Now, Winco has more of in general, fairly low prices. And that's where I do the bulk of my grocery shopping. However, I also will go to Albertsons or Safeway depending on what they have on sale that week, even if I don't need it. That is a bonus tip, is to, especially with groceries, toiletries, those kinds of things, don't wait until you need something. When you need something is when you're going to pay more than you need to. You're going to pay full price for those things, rather than if you buy things that are on sale each week, and then you're building up a little bit of a stockpile. And that's important because then that way you're not spending full price for anything hardly. So this one is kind of interesting. So this one is the concept of paying yourself first. It's the putting money in savings before you do anything else. Now, I started doing this a few months ago, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do it, but I thought, well, I'm just going to try, and if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. But so what it wound up happening was I wound up putting $50 from my checking over to my savings. And I thought, if I have to get it back out, I will. I haven't had to get it back out. I have not, because what has happened is I have kind of made everything else fit so that I can do that, right? It's just a hot tip, because a lot of times what happens is we think, oh, when all the bills are paid or whatever, I will put money in savings. And then that doesn't wind up happening. A lot of times it doesn't wind up happening. Or we think we'll save whatever's left at the end of the month or whatever. Well, the chances are there's not going to be anything left at the end of the month. So if you put that savings in your savings right out of the gate, then you can make everything else fit. And that's what I've done, and it has worked out. And I'm so glad I actually just did it instead of being afraid of it. So another thing about the kind of the shopping thing from earlier is deciding that we're just not going to spend any money on whatever kind of items. For me, right now it's clothes. I don't even have clothes in my budget because I don't really need any. I literally don't need anything. I have more clothes than I need. And so what people do sometimes is they'll decide that for a whole month or however long, they're not going to spend money on clothes. Say 3 months, 1 month, 2 weeks, whatever. Just decide that you're not going to spend any money on this. Or say, you like to go out to eat, maybe not even out to eat per se, but you like to go to the drive-thru. You're not going to go to the drive-thru for the whole week, say. And you can put that money that you would have spent, because you kind of know, if you just look at your bank statement, you kind of know how much you spend, on that each week or each month or however long you want to do it. And just decide you're not going to do it. And instead, you're going to put that money you would have spent into your savings, because that's going to build up, that money, and it's going to build up kind of that emergency fund to where you have a buffer between you and life. And that is really, really important. It's also really important for your sanity and just for your mental health, of knowing that you have a little bit of backup. That is so important. A lot of times I remember when we didn't have any money in the bank, that feeling of always like walking a tightrope. I hated it. And then once we started, getting a little bit of money in the bank, I kind of felt like, nah, if I am a little wiggly or if I'm going to fall off of this thing or whatever, it's okay. I mean, I don't want to have that happen, but if I did, I've got this over here. I've got enough to deal with X, Y, or Z. Also, finding the leaks that are in your budget, like we were talking about the fast food or whatever, trying to figure out where this money is going. Because a lot of times we'll get to the end of the month or whatever and think, what in the heck happened, So getting your bank statement, credit card statement, however it is you are, paying for things, and figuring out where all those leaks are. What are you spending on, say, video games, on eating out, on pizza, on going to the whatever it is you're spending money on, all of these like nickel and dime things. We need to know what those are, because once you have that information, it makes you feel better, just knowing what's happening. Because if you know what's happening, then you can come up with a plan. And this one may seem obvious, but it's just having a budget, not just, finding out where the leaks are in your budget, but just having one in general. And I'm not meaning like having a whole spreadsheet. I'm not meaning any of that. You can write your budget down on the back of a McDonald's wrapper, on the back of a McDonald's bag. It's no big deal. All this is a plan. You have a plan. That's all a budget is a plan for your money. Telling your money where to go so you're not wondering where it went. Every dollar has a name. You give it a name. A lot of people do zero-based budgets, and that's what I do too, mostly. And I think it's a great idea because that way you are executing a plan, which just having a plan takes so much weight off of your shoulders, right? If you find that you have a spending problem, let's just say you cannot keep yourself under control at the grocery store, just something simple like that. The best way that I found to deal with that is to use the envelope system. Now there's several videos that you can go check out that are very specific about the envelope system. But basically what it is all of the categories that you would naturally overspend in, say clothes, groceries, whatever the case may be, Amazon, right? You're always buying stuff on Amazon. Putting actual cash money in an envelope, because once it's gone, that's gone. Totally gone. So it forces you to just use what's in that envelope. And let me tell you, it's a great teacher. Works like $1 million. It's really good. This one might, people might go, what? Okay, hear me out. This one is not putting money on your credit cards that you do not pay off every month. Like, you're not carrying a balance over. If you put something on your credit card, it gets paid off. There is no carrying it over, paying interest on it. And that carries me into the next one, is kind of having a mantra. Like ours is, for example, we don't pay interest. And so that helps with that scenario, because if you put something on a credit card and you don't pay it off every month, you have to pay interest on that. Now, that is a terrible place to be, because then that thing that you spent $100 on because you thought, oh, this was on sale, it was a great deal, is now going to cost you $125. So there's all the sale benefits right out the window. So just a mantra is the idea that you have already made this decision. And so you as a family have decided, we don't borrow money. So we don't even put anything on credit cards, or, we don't pay interest. So if we do put something on a credit card, we have to pay it off at the end of the month, or when the bill comes, because we're not paying interest on it. Or, something to the effect of, between you and your partner, you don't spend a certain amount of money over and above whatever, $100, $200, whatever, without talking to each other. That way you have, you're kind of accountable to each other. Now, I really hope these were helpful, and let me know, do you do any of these? Or, this is not an exhaustive list, but just let me know. Are there any that you want to implement, or any that you already do? So I will see you in the next video. Give this a thumbs up and possibly subscribe, and I'll see you next time.